Right, hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm sorry I've started without you. So I want to install a solar charging system, but I want the solar panel to be demountable, so that it's not on the vehicle, you know, when it's at shows and whatnot. Because my plan is, once I've sorted out what I'm doing with this canvas and got rid of this front piece, basically I'm going to mount it up here and have it sat up there. So obviously for shows that look a bit weird. I have had suggestions about, you know, putting some solar panels up on the top where you wouldn't see them, but I'm not really sure how I would go about doing that, with obviously the canvas being there. So I don't like the idea of them not being on there when it's at shows and when we're on road runs and whatnot. And to be frank, it doesn't actually need the solar panel connected when we're out driving. I'll explain why. So this is the leisure battery, and currently it's set up to charge off of the main battery and the alternator. There's a switch in the cab that switches this relay, allows power to run from the main battery, the starting battery, to this leisure battery. And that's fine and all, but obviously it only gets charged up when the engine's running and you've got that switch engaged. The reason the switch is there obviously is so that you can you know, run your lights and whatnot in the back, in the night heater that's in there and whatnot, off of this battery, and not drain your starting battery, because obviously that would not be so great. So yeah, so that's why that relay's there. So yes, anyway, I want to install the solar charging system. I've bought the panel. This is a solar controller, which I am going to mount about there somewhere. So what we've got to do is rip out this abomination. This is how they'd run power up to a fuse block up in the back of the truck, and I'll show you that in a minute. And so each one of these runs to an individual fuse in the fuse block, basically, and that's how they ran power up. I don't know why they didn't run a single line up to a bus bar and then run powers from that into the fuse blocks. Like, there's no reason. You know, you need that. It's a good idea to have the fuse blocks there, because then all your circuits are fuse protected. But at the same time, why go through all the hassle of running all these cables, you know, measuring out all these cables, and then they've actually wrap the whole thing, the whole bundle in insulation tape, and then run it through a conduit all the way up into the truck. That's a fair amount of work when you think about it. Why would you not just run a single power up to a bus bar? I don't know. Yeah, with a decent sized cable. So we're going to get rid of that. That's going to go there. So we'll have the cable for the solar panel running down through the conduit back to here into there. We'll have the wire for the battery side obviously running to the battery, and then we'll have power running out of the service power side of the controller back up, and then we're going to fit a bus bar and run short jumpers across that. So I'll show you what the setup is here at the other end. Okay, so this is the setup at the other end. This is the other end of that bundle that was down in the battery box. So what we're going to do is we'll pull this out, fit a bus bar here with a single power to it, and then we'll run jumpers across to the fuse blocks. This to me is a good idea. It's good to have your circuits fuse protected, because otherwise I actually don't think they're protected anywhere by a fuse on this circuit. I just don't understand why they ran this bundle all the way up when it would have been much simpler to simply run one power up to a bus bar, which is what I'm going to do. So these feed, this feeds the lights. This is actually original to the vehicle. You've got 24 input and output for the lights and 240 volt input and output for the fans, which that it would have got on 240 volt from the generator when there was one in here, the renter generator, and we don't have 24 volt system either. We got 12 volt system, but it runs the lights, so that's fine. And then we've got the 12 volt socket that's just down here, and then these two are the 12 volt socket that's also on the other side, and another one down by the tailgate. And then we've got this one for the radio that's just sat over there on top of there, and then the last one is for the night heater and the night heater controller. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we'll also be running the cables for the solar panel out of here, and then probably feed them up here, and then they'll just loop over, and they'll sit there hidden out of the way, and then when you mount the solar panel, you'll just simply plug the plugs in, and that'll be it. Okay, so the other thing we've got to deal with is actually mounting the solar panel. And this is a decent sized panel. This is a metre by half a metre, I think. And as I've said, I want this to be easily removable for when we go out in the truck, when it shows when we're driving. So it came with standard bracket setups for if you were, mounting on top of a van or a camper, and they basically go in just like that. So I'm thinking of utilising these. What I'll do is I'll bolt these in, and then I will build a square frame basically that will basically go on here, a square frame that will then go out to the other two that will be over there. With then probably a bar across the middle, with then a post that will then mount into a bracket that I'll affix to the headboard. Thinking of going for two pieces, so you got the post, you'd slot the post in, and then you bring the panel up and then slot the panel on top of the post. I think is how I'm going to go, because while this solar panel isn't heavy, it's not crazy light either, and once you go adding a box section mild steel frame to it, that might become a little less handy for hoisting up there to stick it up there. So I think I might make the post a separate piece just to make that a little easier and less ungainly, but we'll see how that goes as that comes together. Okay, I pull the battery out. I'm trying to pull this cable out, and it's protesting. So bring it back when I've made some progress, I think. But so it's made quite a nice battery tray out of hang line. I guess I'd originally envisioned you sliding the battery out the front. Looks like somebody drew a hole in the wrong place as well over there. But yeah, like that. Or perhaps the battery tray sort of repurposed out of something else. Who knows? Anyway, I'll get this out. I'll bring it back once I'm done. Okay, I'm making progress. I'll come round and show you. Got the brass fit in there, and all they've done is the loom mat there just jammed on the end of it, and as I was trying to pull the cable out, it was catching on the sharp end on the other end of the brass fitting. So I popped it off, pulled the cable through, and then I've tucked it behind the air tank to straighten up the run from there, because initially I had it coming down here like that, and that's quite a tight bend to try and get it around. It's hard work trying to put it through. As you can see, yeah, that's 8 cables all up together, and they're barely, they're very tight fit in the loom wrap. So, but I'm making progress. Right, there we go. There's the end. The wire we've whacked on there, and then we can use that to run our new cable in. So let's turn that off. And there we go, there's the old cable. Right, that's the new cable I'm going in with. Nice thick stuff. This is essentially, well, yeah, it's a battery cable basically, but I'm trying to think. 6mm, I think, off the top of my head. Now it's fairly similar to some of the other stuff that's been used in here, but this has got fairly thick insulation on it. So I'm going to take this back onto the end of that, feed that through, and then run it through. Yeah. Right, that is that all the way through. I did have to split the loom wrap, trunking or whatever you want to call it, in the couple of places it was joined. It was getting hung up right in this section here, but that freed it off, so I'll wrap that back up. And then I've just remembered I have 2 other cables I need to run through there from the top down. Cool, I'll figure that out. Okay, I pulled everything through the loom wraps, and now we've got to put it back through that brass fitting. Right. Probably no longer that fitting was on the cable. That's a tight fitting for 3 cables. Right, that's that in there now. Right, so I've got controller to mount. Somewhere there I decided. These two are for the solar panel. This one's power feed back up to the top. Right, put this new battery in. Very, very awkward. There we go. Oh. Oh. There we go. Right. I think I'll set the battery all down back on. Lovely homemade piece of angle iron. Oh. Much easier the old one coming out than the new one going in. Basically all they've got is some threaded rod with a fitting on the end that bolts into the tray at the bottom. Then this piece of angle iron over the top with some ring nuts. And there's some nuts on the bottom just to stop you from tightening it down too far, basically. So it's actually the same brand of battery as the old one, but slightly upgraded version of it. So, right, that's now in, so we can start figuring out our cable ones. So, positive battery cable, well, positive battery terminal rather. So that's got to have this going into it and the feed to the solar control, charge control, which is going to be that one. Ready to go in. Well, I forgot the run for that one. I think that one wants to be a little shorter as well. Try and run it around the back, but don't interfere too much with the battery. Pull it out. Okay, so I've got everything wired in and connected on this end. So we've got solar panel in, both positive and negative. Nothing's connected at the minute. Then we've got the battery, earth and positive, and then we've got power out up to the top, which will run all the lights. And we've got main power, and then we've got the earth, which just goes to the negative battery terminal, same as the other one, because this terminal just literally runs to earth and then the battery anyway, so I figure it's basically essentially the same thing. And it seems to be happy at the minute. And then I'll bring it around. Let's look at that. I've neatened that up a little bit and shortened those up, shortened that one as well to the battery terminal. So that's it for the minute on that. So it's work to do up top now. Okay, I've done this bit without you. I've shown you the finished wiring down the bottom, and this is the finished wiring up the top. So this is our main power up to the bus bar, and then our short jumpers over to the fuse block, and then these two are for the solar panel, which will go up and loop over here, and the connectors will then be accessible from the other side. So yeah, everything's connected. We have some of the lights on, so I've been able to work. Once I got that done, I was able to work with some light on, which was nice. As you can see, it is dark outside now. So yeah, next bit of the project really is to make the frame for the solar panel to go on, and sort out the bracketry that's going to attach it to the truck. Okay, so I kind of neglected to film some of this process, but this is the frame that's going to go on the solar panel. This is the post that is going to slot onto the post that's going to be attached to the truck. I'm just going to slot into that. So this is all made of 20mm box section, and then this piece and this piece are made of 25mm box section. So the inner diameter of this is just over 20mm. So they slot in really nicely. I did have to just about see it there, file down the little rib that is inside the tube. Obviously it's left over from when the tube gets welded. I did have to file that down a little bit just to ensure that the 20mm box don't get stuck in it, but otherwise that's it. So I've a bit of clean up to do on this, figure out where I'm mounting that on the truck, drill some holes. By that on, I've got 8 holes to drill into this, so this can be bolted to the solar panel, and then it's just the arm or post, if you like, that runs between this and this left to do, which may end up being a straight bar, possibly, I'm not sure yet. Depends where this sits along with everything else. So cool, right, I'm gonna get on and clean this up. Okay, so there it is up there. I only need a short bit of straight bar in the end. I was originally thinking that the bar would be have a kink in it to bring that away, but in the end, because of how I've made the bracket, I've got a little bit of offset I need to clear everything. So that's that all plugged in. So it is charging. I've got the controller all set up. So I've got it set. I'll just quickly try and run through this with you. So that is the voltage that is put in, max voltage it could put into the battery, so 14 volts. What it'll push out to the the lights, power we're using, I've set at 12 volts. And then the minimum the battery can get down to, I set at 11.5 volts. If I remember rightly reading the paperwork that come with the battery, they recommend not letting it drop below 11. So I've put in half a volt there, and I've allowed it to push power out to the accessories, I suppose you call it, 24 hours a day. 1B1, that's the type of battery it is. There's a whole bunch of settings depending on what kind of battery you've got. There is one thing though, this relay over here, there's a switch on the dash that allows, originally they had it so that it would allow the alternator on the engine to charge both this and the starting battery. I was hoping I could leave that relay closed so that the solar panel could charge this battery and the engine battery, but I have to have the ignition on in order to send power to this relay. So at some point I'll rewire that one switch in this to this relay so that it draws power directly from the battery all the time, so that I can have this relay closed so that I can actually charge both batteries off the solar panel when I'm not using the truck. At certain points of the time, certain times obviously I want to switch that off so that I'm not eating into starting battery when I'm using ancillary electrics and whatnot. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.